Okay, so let's get started. Welcome everybody to the fourth edition of the Stellar Global Space Series. My name is Olvis, Stellar Global Ambassador in Austria, and founder of OG Technologies, builders of Mozart and EduNote. And today, together with Fergal, we will be hosting today's space. Fergal?
Yeah, just to introduce myself. Hi, my name is Fergal. Obviously, I'm from Ireland. You can probably hear the accent, so you probably guessed where I'm from. I said I'm one of the OGs from Stellar Global, so I've been with Stellar Global from day dot. So we're happy to kick off these series of Discord events. We're also doing Twitter Spaces, which Rav and Jerome are doing. So there's lots of exciting events coming into the future. So keep an eye out for that.
That's right. That's right. Thank you very much. So yeah, just as a quick reminder, just feel free to ask your questions on the comment section, which you will find on the right side of the space screen. We will be happy to answer them at the end of the session. So without further ado, today are really excited to introduce Enrique, founder of Crate Technologies. Hi Enrique. It's really nice to talk to you again since we last spoke in Meridian in Madrid. How are you doing today?
Pretty well, because summer is out, and every time uh, that happens, I'm happy. So that's okay.
Awesome. That's great to know. For those who might not know you, could you please introduce yourself? What's your name? Your background? Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your company and projects that you are working on.
Sure. I'm Enrique. I'm a software developer. I've been coding like for 7 to 8 years, I guess. I'm a self-taught developer. And I started working in the blockchain space with Create Technologies and Great Edge actually. For around 4 to 5 years, I guess. That was the moment I started creating projects for blockchain space.
That's very cool. That's very cool. I have a question like which are the projects that you are currently like working on right now yeah, in your company?
Yes, related to blockchain. First is xBull, which was the first one I started for the Stellar blockchain. I'm also working with the Soroban domains, the one we are talking today. Also FXDAO, which is currently being in an audit process. Also, I also do like libraries and those type of software. For example, I'm the creator of Stellar Wallets Kit, which is I was happy a few days ago because a new project that is called Cables. I saw that they were using the library. That made me happy. And also, there is another project that I'm building. It's related to auctions. I will be giving more details in a few days, maybe a week, once it's ready, or at least testable.
Wow, that's incredible. You are indeed a stellar champion when it comes down to building useful projects for the ecosystem. That's amazing. Now, I would like to dive into Expo, the one that you already mentioned. So, could you please tell our audience what is Expo, and what is the story behind it?
Yeah, well, actually, I started back in 2021. The reason I started was because at that point, I mean, I'm a developer, like I mentioned it, and that means that sometimes I also work for another companies, and I don't like to use the same keys with third-party companies, especially when I'm working for them. And at that moment, there was not an option that actually allowed me to do like management of my keys in the way I wanted. So because there was another option, I just said, okay, I'm gonna make my own, and that was the idea behind of the project.
That's great.
And especially because sometimes being a developer, you need to have like access to tools that maybe are not that commonly used, and most most projects don't include them because they are not as popular. But sometimes I need that, and so that was the initial idea.
Right. That's great. Now I would like to dive a little bit into the journey of the creation of the wallet. Like what gaps did you see in the existing Stellar network wallets that you aim to fill with xBull?
Well, the main one was actually the accounts management. At that moment, I remember the options that were available were Solar and Lobster and Rabbit. And because I have multiple hardware wallets and multiple seed phrase and etc., um, none of them actually allowed me to basically use all of them. So the journey started as being first, like allowing me to have as many accounts as I want, and from there it was just adding more stuff that I needed in my day-to-day coding.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, while checking your website, I noticed that like X Wallet that X Wallet is described as the wallet for pro users. Could you please elaborate on the specifics and features that cater to professional users, and how these features stand out from other wallets in the wallet and in the market?
Yeah, I mean, the reason I call it that way is because if you have used it, you will notice that the UX is not as user friendly as, for example, Lobster or Beans, which are they have a really good interface for new users. xBull is more like this is a raw experience, and you can use it for whatever you want. For example, you can have your own Horizon, your own multiple wallets, and include multiple accounts inside of wallets, and have many other options that maybe the common user don't need it. So that's why I call it, okay, this is for other type of user.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's great. So privacy and security are central to xBull Wallet's ethos. Can you please share more about the underlying technologies and practices you have implemented to ensure user data protection and security?
Yeah, I'm a believer that the best way to protect user data is not keeping them at all. So that's the first thing I did with xBull.
Yeah.
Basically, I don't require like an email or nothing from you because I don't want to have it. So that's the best way to actually to protect the
Right.
information.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and regarding security, something I actually like to do, and a lot of people actually complain about that, is that xBull doesn't save your password. And I understand that sometimes is kind of a pain because every time you are gonna sign something, it requires you the password. But that's because I don't want to keep the password either. So that's the basically there it's like a trade-off. Sometimes in order to keep it more private, it's kind of a pain for the user, but that's the path I chose.
Right. That's totally understandable. So let's talk about your commitment to open source. xBull Wallet is fully open source. How does this commitment to transparency and community collaboration influence the development and trustworthiness of xBull?
Well, regarding trustworthiness, I always tell everybody that even if something is open source, it's not that you need to trust it just because of the sake of it. I always tell users to
Right.
just check in themselves. But the reason it's open source is because I remember a few days ago, a guy from the SoroSwap team mentioned that they were able to understand something regarding the base reserve from Stellar accounts, thanks to reading the code of xBull. And that's the
Right.
reason I wanted to be open source, because that way is basically something I made 3 years ago. And I mean, 4 years ago, and people are always able to just check the code, and now they know how to do that. So that's basically cool because new projects are using that to understand how doing some stuff in Stellar, and I feel that's the main benefit from being open source.
That's very cool indeed. Yes, yes, that's awesome. That's like the new projects can benefit from what is already out there and open source. So that's amazing. Now let's talk a little bit about the future of xBull and in Stellar. Like looking ahead, how do you see xBull Wallet evolving alongside the Stellar network? Like, are there any upcoming features or partnerships that the community can look forward to?
Yeah, regarding the future of xBull, something I'm trying, I mean, I'm still deciding how to do that, but I want to keep xBull as a Stellar wallet. Like xBull wallet will be a Stellar wallet, and I'm planning to create like a new xBull version, which is the one called xBull Signer, which is going to be more focused on the Soroban side, because even though they share a lot of functionality, sometimes I just need a Stellar wallet, and sometimes I just need a Solomon wallet, and I prefer them to be
Right.
separate. So I think that's going to be the future of the wallet in the ecosystem. And
Okay,
regarding
sure.
partnerships and those, I always tend when people come to ask if I could mention them in Xwell and especially in social media or something, I always tell them that I don't like to choose winners. I prefer them to basically, if you want to be like a partner per se, just add Xwell to your site and that's it. But I'm not going to mention it everything because I think that's not fair for other projects.
Sure. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So now let's delve a little bit into like the challenges that you face in development. Developing a versatile and secure digital wallet is like it's definitely not a small thing. Like what have been like some of the biggest challenges that you have faced during the development of xbull, and how have you overcome them?
To be honest, not that much actually. I always found Stellar to be an easy to work with. It's a chain that basically have everything built in it, so you don't need to do that much in regard of hard logic. And especially because it's a wallet that targets more advanced users, you don't need to abstract as many logic behind, so that also makes the process easy.
Okay, wow, that certainly tells us how skilled of a developer you are. So yeah, that's great. So like regarding like xbull's hardware wallet compatibility, like xbull's compatibility with hardware wallets is a significant feature for security conscious users. Like could you please discuss how xbull integrates with hardware wallets and why this was an important feature to include?
Yeah, it's also another reason I wanted to have my own wallet, because at that moment there was not an option that actually allowed me to do that. Uh, so I have ledgers, I have trezors, and I was not able to use them to do Stellar development. So I integrate them because most of my network is in crypto, and I prefer to keep them in separate Stellar wallets and in hardware wallets. So I need to be able to use them when I'm working with the Stellar.
Okay, that's great. That's awesome. Um, so regarding like user experience design, like from customizable backgrounds to naming accounts, xbull wallet like really places like a strong emphasis on personalization. What is your approach to user experience design, and how do you balance functionality with customization?
Uh, I don't think about that much because again, it's because of the target of the user. The user that use xBull most of the time is not a common user, is a user that they try to have something like let them to do something other wallets don't let them to do. And I remember when a lot of people were talking about NFTs and those stuff, I thought that, well, maybe something funny to have is just backgrounds. And so that's one of the personalization that the xBull allows you to use an asset as a background of the wallet. I mean, it's not something that gives you any extra functionality. It's just something for fun. And regarding the customization about the names, that also goes back to my requirement of working for other companies. For example, in my wallet, currently I have like, I don't know, like 15 wallets in xBull. So I need to be able to actually name all of them carefully because I will be using one from one project, another one from another project. So that's the importance in the names.
That's amazing. Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's great. And I really like, particularly the customizable backgrounds. So that's cool. Okay, now let's get a little bit into like the revenue model of like of xBull. Is there like a particular revenue stream for this product, like how this product support itself? Like could you please share a little bit about that?
Yeah, xBull actually doesn't have a revenue model. It's completely free and open source. I just keep it up to date because since I'm working with the Stellar projects, I need to have a wallet I can include new stuff. For example, with Soroban domain, currently xBull allows you to search for domains if you don't know the public key of the recipient. So that's why it's free, because at the end of the day, I also need somewhere to actually to test new projects that I'm building on. So there is no revenue model because of that.
Right. Okay. Sure. Sure. Quick question: like, how many users do you have using, like the xBull wallet at the moment?
It's not actually possible to know that because I don't keep records of that. I don't even include a tracking in the app. But that means that maybe there will be around 1,000 users, active users, because that's what the stores say, like Google Chrome store and Firefox add-ons store. But the exact number is impossible to know.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. So, like, could you please tell us a little bit regarding participating and being, one of the winners during, like the Star Community Fund? And also, could you please tell us how the process was like for you?
It was really cool actually because at that moment I remember it was another way. It wasn't the same way like it is today. At that moment it was like with another Discord and having the conversations directly on the other Discord. But so far it's actually easy to handle if you know what you want to build. Unfortunately, at that moment I remember I was trying to do something with turrets, which it's sad that they were discontinued, but at the same time was happy because, well, they are being discontinued because Soroban is now here, so that's at least something good. But yeah, overall it was really really good.
That's cool. That's awesome. So, and like, how does xBull Wallet engage with and contribute to the broader Stellar network community? Is there like any way for users and developers to get involved or provide feedback?
Uh, contributing to the network itself, I will say that it's like what other wallets do. Basically, I like that. I would like to see more wallets in the ecosystem because I feel that sometimes you just need something specific and maybe the options available are not there. So I guess that's how it helps the community, like offering something that maybe somebody is going to need. And
Yeah.
regarding the feedback, I'm always in the Stellar Global Discord and also in the Stellar Developer Discord. So most of the time when people need to mention something, maybe they are having an issue or something like that, they just reach me in any of the both Discord.
That's great. That's great. So now, something that will be, like a really valuable for the community is to actually see the xBull wallet in action. Could you please show us a quick demo about, how xBull works?
Sure. Let me. Okay. I think we have an issue because it says you can stream into this channel. So
Oh,
I cannot
okay.
share my screen.
Um,
We can come back to that, as I said, Olvis, if you want to have a look at that in the background, and we could just talk about Soroban domains, and then we could do the 2 demos at the end, if that's possible.
right,
Okay.
right. Yes, that sounds like a great idea. Okay, so now, Fergal will be, introducing to the audience regarding, the Soroban domains built by Enrique, and go ahead, Fergal.
Hi, thanks very much. What I like to see, I see in the audience, a few people have their domain names highlighted on the profile, so that's good to see. So that tells you how popular and how exciting this project is. So I suppose you might tell us what was inspired you to create Soroban domains, and how did you identify the need for a user-based identification system within the Stellar network?
Yeah, I remember I started with the idea, not Soroban itself, but the idea of having domains. I think back in 2022. But I remember at that point, Unstoppable Domains, I saw that Unstoppable Domains were, I don't know if they were interested or not, but at that moment, I thought like, well, if they are going to enter into the ecosystem, maybe it's not something I need to do myself. But since it's been 2 years and they didn't do anything, I thought, well, maybe it's time to do it. And the reason is because sometimes it's easier to just remember a username instead of a long string. So I feel that's the main benefit. And also because, in the Ethereum ecosystem now with social media apps like Workcast, they are doing, I mean, they're using domains. So I think that's something that we could also do in the ecosystem.
Okay, and you've already mentioned it, but can you walk us through how Soroban domains simplifies the user experience, as in they don't need to remember their public keys, they can just use this domain, and how that works?
Yeah, basically the protocol, what it does is that it converts your domain into a hash, and that serves as an ID in the contract. So that contract can actually save the public key that you want. So let's say, for example, something I would like to see in the future, and that's something I plan to also handle. I mean, I plan to do with FXDAO, is that let's say somebody wants to actually interact with the contract itself, or the treasury or something like that. Instead of needing to actually to verify the public key, they can just write FXDAO and it will just return the correct contract ID. So that's how it helps. Yeah, I think that's the main reason.
Yeah, and on the website you mentioned the community ownership vision. You've mentioned a future vision of community ownership for Soroban domains, and say, how do you plan to transition to this model, and what impact do you foresee it having on the platform and its users? So basically, the community will own this. How will that work?
Yeah, I really want the project to be a DAO, and also something that as I plan to do is that I already got all of the records from the contract. There are already 216 domains registered, and
Wow. Well done.
yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a token. and I will airdrop to all of the users of the domain, because I want that's the reason the protocol itself doesn't charge anything, because I want the protocol to be as like just a community project. There is no need to be like owned by a single developer. And the way I'm going to move into that direction is that I've been in touch with the Catawba economic zones, which is a special economic zone in South Dakota, I think, not South Carolina. I think that's where they are located. They allowed registering DAOs companies as DAOs. So I'm in touch with them because I want the protocol to be a registered company. I don't want to be like a DAO without an entity behind. And as long as they give me like a way to go into that direction, maybe that's how I'm going to move to the DAO itself once the company is integrated.
So busy times ahead for sure. Exactly. Obviously, you mentioned the free registration model isn't like anyone can go and claim their domains. So obviously, this seems very groundbreaking. How is Soroban Domains able to provide the service without charge? And what is the sustainability model behind it? As I said, will it support itself in the future, or how will this work?
Yeah, so for example, the domain doesn't allow you, doesn't require you to pay for it. It's just to put the collateral in it. And the reason behind that is because that's a way to both prevent the abuse of the protocol, and at the same time give you the possibility to just bring your money back if you want, to take your money back. So at that moment, the protocol itself doesn't charge anything. But in order to be able to keep the DAO in the future, because that's something I mentioned in the documentation, is that being an entity, a real entity, means that it will need like paying fees, government fees, etc. And what I plan to do is currently I'm working on the feature that will allow users to buy and sell their domains, like having a small market. And what it's going to do is that once the DAO is incorporated, or at least the tokens are distributed, I plan that the fee that is earned by the transaction when somebody buys or sells its token, its domain to another person, the protocol will charge a fee, and the idea is that that fee could help in paying the fees for keeping the entity in order with the government.
Oh, excellent. So there'll be a marketplace set up for domains. So people can buy and swap and everything like that. Or there could be prizes for competitions. If you've won this competition, here's a domain or something like that. To say the technical aspects, obviously, I know we won't delve too much into technical aspects, but how do you ensure the security and privacy of users?
Yeah, well, one thing regarding privacy itself is that nothing that is in a blockchain is private. I mean, everything is public in the ledger. But something I did when designing the storage of the contract is that once, you can basically search all of the records that are in the contract, but even if you have all of the records, you cannot see what is the domain, because it's just a hash. So the logic behind of that is that I'm using a hash function that hash the domain into a string. So once you have that string, you cannot go back to the domain. So that helps in both keeping the privacy, quote unquote, because like I said, there is no privacy in the blockchain, but at the same time is secure, because it means that the domain always will generate the same hash no matter what. So that's the security behind that.
Okay, no, thanks for sharing that. I suppose this project is very exciting. As you mentioned, you have 200 people, or names registered. But what strategies are you using to encourage adoption, or how are you promoting this? Is it just on Discord, or how did people find about Soroban domains?
To be honest, I try to not market like tell it or make publicity about it, because I wanted to see if there was a organic adoption. And so far it's been more than 200 users. I mean, it was actually more, but a lot of people also burn domains and they register again and something like that. But the idea was that I wanted to be able to see if there was adoption without me actually telling everybody that, hey, this is a new tool.
Yeah, well, I think it's gone very well so far for you. So well done again. How do you see Soroban domains integrating with the Stellar ecosystem? What relevance do you think it'll have? Obviously, I know the private or the public key address, but can you see it being used for anything else?
I think the main issue, the main use case should be just identifying accounts on the server. But another thing that I'm also going to add is that, somebody can just create a contract and push it to the network and that's it. Sometimes I would like to be able to check that a contract that I have in Soroban, you can include a contract metadata, basically information about the contract itself. But that's not something as secure as you could imagine, because it's an open network, so you can write whatever you want. So something I want to add in the protocol is that you could just tie the public key that you are using in the Soroban domains with the contract. So that way, even though it's just a public key, in this case, a contract address, but the idea is that when you include metadata in the contract itself, it's going to be shown in Soroban domains too. So it's like, okay, this is a contract that the owner of the domain actually built, and this is a contract that has this information. Something like having an extra way to check that the contract that we found in the network is actually the one that we wanted.
Okay, no, thank you very much. And it's in developing this project, what challenges have you faced, or have you faced any challenges developing Soroban domains, or what have been your issues?
To be honest, nothing so far, and I think that's because building on Soroban is actually easier than with other blockchains. So at least for now, I haven't faced any type of a challenge.
Okay, that's fair. That's great to hear. So you've mentioned you have a few ideas about Soroban domains, maybe a marketplace or a list where everybody can see all the domains. Have you any other plans for the roadmap, or where do you see it in 12 months' time?
I would like to see other protocols working on top of it. Like I really would like to see something similar to Workcast on Ethereum, but on Stellar, like working on top of Soroban domains.
Okay, fair enough. As I said, I love you mentioned earlier with your xBull wallet that you can do a search for domains, but so that's brilliant to see. I didn't know that, so I'll be checking that afterwards. So I suppose that's a little tip for everybody in the audience, because people are always asking what domains are registered, so they can see the list there. So that's great. I suppose just coming to the last question here before the demo, I suppose, how can the community get involved? Obviously, one thing is just to pick an address and register, but can they give you feedback, or how can they contact you?
I would say Discord and Twitter. Most of the time, people contact me there. Okay. And developers can sometimes just write on the GitHub code. Something that, for example, Overcat did is that he had a pull request to the Soroban domain code just for helping with the contract. So that's actually something good too.
Oh, excellent, brilliant. I just got a message here from my colleague. You should be able to share your screen there. So maybe if you want to see if you can share the screen and do the demos, if that's possible.
Let me see. I think you should see it now.
It's loading. That's great. Yeah, we see it.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, a demo for Soroban domain is quite simple because the site is really simple. It only allows you to search for a domain in something. For example, let's say I want to register a new domain. Let's call it, I don't know, random, because why not? And you can just search for it and register it. So far it's pretty simple. It only allows you to do that. But for example, something I'm working on is that this one from here. No, it's not this one. This one from here is what I'm working on. So let's say you want to search for the domain called hello, and somebody already registered the domain. Well, you can just make an offer like, hey, I would like to buy your domain for, I don't know, at 10,000 XLM because maybe you're rich, and and just confirm it. So, or let's say you are the owner of Hello XLM, and somebody, I mean the owner itself, can just offer its domain for others to buy it. Well, that's also going to be included in the logic. So this is the next release I will be showing on to everybody. And something that I mentioned regarding xBull, it's like, for example, another reason I wanted to have my own wallet is if I'm building something like this, like Soroban domains, I want to test it. So let's say I open my wallet and I want to send funds to somebody. I can just come here. Let's say I want to send you something to you, Fergal. And I don't know your public key. Well, I can just come here and send it to you because I don't need to know your public key. I only need to know your domain. And I want to send you something just for fun. Well, that's a way. So having my own wallet actually allowed me to test my other protocols directly without needing to wait for another wallet to implement it.
Yeah, wow, that's great seeing that feature. It's so much easier. So hopefully everybody picks a nice, simple, easy to remember domain.
Yeah. Another important part of the domain itself is that, let's say, it's not currently here, but it's something I will include in the future. Is that, let's say I have a protocol and I want to have like different IDs for my protocol. If you check at the code right now, the Soroban contract, Soroban domains contract, you can already define subdomains. So after I have implemented the buy and sell offer of logic, I will also allow to register subdomains directly from the website. And the idea is that, for example, here in xBull, if I'm going to send funds to a domain, if I search for test that my username Arrieta, it will also have a different public key. This is something that could be handled for DAOs, because, for example, a DAO could have a governance address, could have a treasury address, it could have I don't know, a payments address, and etc., etc., etc. So the idea is that you can actually go and if you already know, hey, this is I want to send funds to treasury.fxdao. Okay, I'm just going to put treasury.fxdao.xlm, and it will send the funding to the correct address because I know that domain is owned by the protocol. And demo regarding the wallet. I mean, the wallet itself is, at that moment, it was like the most advanced one. But nowadays, actually, for example, Lobster already allows you to have multiple accounts and Freighter too. So that's really good. I like that other wallets are also including that. But for example, what actually made me create my own wallet was this, like having all of my wallets, and inside of each wallet, I have different public keys, which was really important for me as a developer, and like being able to actually define different horizon URLs, or maybe, for example, I don't like to see some accounts sending me stuff, so I can just filter them by public keys. I just like, I don't want to see these transactions. But besides that, nowadays all of wallet already have different functionality, like just doing a swap, just including liquidity and liquidity pools. That's something that is already common with all wallets. So at least the usage of the wallet will be similar to the rest of the wallets.
That's very cool. Thank you very much for the demos. It's really great to see both projects in action. So now we would like to get into some of the audience questions. Actually, I have well, 3 questions at the moment that goes to the features that are still that you are still currently working on for Soroban domains regarding performing biddings. So Jerome, like how does the transfer work when bids are met?
Yeah, that's automatic. For example, let's say I'm the one that wants to buy a domain. When I'm going to buy the domain, like in this place, like if you see the screen in this place, when I'm making the offer, it says that total to deposit, because the protocol requires me that if you are going to make a bid for it, you need to put the funds like right away, because if the seller accepts it, it's going to take the funding, and you are now going to be the owner of the domain. So it's important that when you are going to make an offer, it's going to require you to make the deposit. And that also helps avoiding spam, because, for example, I have been working for a long time with other businesses in Web2, like projects. And sometimes when they have a domain that is maybe a little bit desirable, people can just send you a request, hey, I want to buy your domain for this amount. And you see that are amounts like $100,000, something like that. And that's like, I don't know if you are actually if you are going to pay me that. So I don't want to lose time like reaching out to you and see if you are actually going to pay me that. So in this case, like, if you are making an offer, it's because you already have the funding and you are going to pay it. So the protocol will handle that. So once the bid is met, the funding is going to go to the old owner, and the new owner is going to have the domain.
Cool. I have a second question as well from Jerome as well. He was asking, does the owner and destination get set to the buyer?
In this case, when the is an offer, yes, that's correct. The owner and the destination is going to be the buyer public key. But later, with this new update of the site, is that you will be able to change that. Let's say I buy the domain from you, and okay, now the buyer is the public key, but maybe I want the destination to be another public key. Okay, I'm going to the site and I'm going to change. Well, now the address it should resolve to is going to be a different address, but I'm still the owner. So that's how it works.
Cool. That's nice. So another question coming from Afrim. They ask, Unstoppable Domain has a feature where known brands domains are reserved and cannot be registered until the brand owner shows proof of ownership of the brand via trademark, for example. Yeah. How do you prevent domain squatting?
Yeah, currently the liquidations logic is not there, but the idea is that the reason you need to put a collateral is that, let's say I want to impersonate, I don't know, Microsoft.com, for example. Well, if let's say Microsoft now comes to a Stellar and they say, okay, but this is actually my brand, this is my trademark, and they are impersonating me. Well, the idea is that the real or the legit owner can just liquidate the impersonator and keep the collateral as a reward. The reason is not yet in the contract is because I want it to be handled by the DAO, or at least with a process that is kind of transparent, because let's say someone actually want to take a domain just because for the sake of it, and they want to liquidate it. Well, it needs to be fair. I mean, it's not like you are just going to liquidate right away. You need to give proof and etc.
Okay. That's interesting. So another question from Jerome is: it's not possible to have any type of notification if and when bids or offers gets met. Is it?
I mean, yes and no. What I want to do is, like, you know that sometimes you can have notifications in your browser, let's say for Gmail or something like that. That's going to be the only type of notification I could include, because since I don't require like an email or a phone number or something like that, it's not possible for me to notify you. But what I plan to do is including notifications in the browser. So if you accept the notification in the browser, maybe once the offer is met, okay, you should receive a notification in your browser.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Well, I don't see any other question, but I do have a question myself. Like what advice so do you have, or would you have, for entrepreneurs and developers looking to innovate within the Stellar network? Yeah.
I will say, like, if you see a problem in the space or in the world itself, there is actually a space to innovate. Because, I mean, for example, let me give you a personal example. The reason I got into blockchain was because when I emigrate from my country and I land in here in Chile, the only place I had money was in PayPal, because back in Venezuela it was impossible for me to actually to have funding in dollars, because that was illegal. The country made illegal to have another type of currency. And when I came to Chile, PayPal also froze my account. So basically, I was alone in a country without money. And at that moment, I saw, okay, this is a bad position. I saw that blockchain actually helps me there. So people innovate in blockchain because of that. So it's the same. If you see that there is a problem in the market, you can innovate trying to solve that problem. But it needs to be a real problem, because if it's just something like maybe it's just happening to you, maybe it's not worth it to try to solve it, because you are the only one facing that. But if you see that it's something that a lot of people is facing, maybe there is an opportunity there to create a solution.
Wow. Thank you very much. That's a really great answer. Okay, now getting into the closing part of the space. Fergal will jump in to ask some questions. So Fergal.
Yeah, so this is obviously, thank you very much. This has been a great session. But as I said, at the end, we like to get to know our guests. So we just have a few quick fire questions. So don't think too long and hard. This is where the audience gets to know yourself. So I'll just go on to call out a few questions and just give me your answer. What was the last movie you saw?
I think it was Shrek. Yeah, I always rewatch that movie every day.
Wow.
Basically.
Great movie. Always puts a smile on my face. So great choice. What was the last book you've read?
I don't really remember. I think it was El Vencedor está solo. It's a novel from a writer from Venezuela, I guess. I don't remember.
Okay, that's okay. What was the last concert or music festival you've attended?
I don't like concerts, to be honest. The last time I went to one was actually because I was my girlfriend wanted to go to a concert. It was from it's an artist from Latin America, Tañón. I don't know if you have heard about her, but yeah, that was.
We have to check her out. And obviously, my next question: are you a Taylor Swift fan?
No.
We'll move quickly on. So this question, so after a very long, tough, hard week, you're just wrecked. What's your go-to food on a Friday night? What's just your comfort food on a Friday night after a long, tough week?
Well, I can give you the example from yesterday. My girlfriend and I normally play video games on Friday. So we bought a pizza and we're playing like until 4 a.m. So that's how we spend Friday eating pizza and playing video games.
Oh, wow. And I suppose, then do you like pineapple on your pizza?
No.
Okay. And then this is the controversial question. Should socks and sandals ever be worn together?
I mean, in my opinion, sandals shouldn't even exist, so I guess no.
Right, now, thank you very much for answering those questions. It's always good to get to know the guests in more detail, so thank you for those answers.
Thank you very much indeed, Enrique. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
So thanks everyone for joining, and we will see you during the next Stellar Global event. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.